In the world of figure skating pairs competition, Olympic history over the last 30 years tells us one brutal truth. Athletes who fail to place inside the top 3 after the short program almost never go on to win gold. Statistically, it is considered nearly impossible. But at the 2026 Milan Cortina Olympics, Riku Miura shattered that belief completely. From what looked like a hopeless position, she delivered a performance that rewrote the world record and climbed all the way to the top, creating a moment that felt bigger than sports itself. This was not just a comeback story. It was the moment a sleeping monster inside one woman finally awakened. Today, we dive deep into the truth behind the silent monster known as Riku Miura, a name given not lightly, but by legendary coach Bruno Marcotte himself, a man who refused to even call her a genius because he believed that word was too small to describe what she truly is. From Marcotte's perspective, Miura could never be explained with a single label. No one could imitate her. No one could fully measure the hidden power sleeping inside her. And when that silent monster finally broke free after the 2026 Milan performance, the atmosphere inside the arena changed instantly. This was not simply a reversal on the scoreboard. It was a force powerful enough to shake the very structure of figure skating itself. Her name was already known around the world before this night, but after this performance, she tore away the easy label of genius and stepped into something far greater, something almost mythical. According to Marcotte, this was not luck, and it was not a miracle. It was the inevitable result of years of relentless discipline, technical perfection, and mental strength sharpened to the absolute limit. But for everyone watching, it felt impossible to explain. Quiet, controlled, yet overwhelmingly destructive, her awakening became something unforgettable. The stage for this historic moment was Milan Cortina, where the air inside the arena felt unbearably tense. After the short program, Miura and her partner sat in 5th place. Looking at Olympic history and past statistics, their chances of winning gold from that position were almost zero. In modern figure skating, winning from outside the top 3 simply does not happen. But that impossible reality became the perfect setup for a legend. Just before the free skate began, there was no sense of panic or desperation around the rink. Instead, there was an eerie silence. The kind of silence that hurts your ears right before a massive storm arrives. Marcotte later described the look in Miura's eyes in a way that stunned many people. "She doesn't panic," he said. In fact, when she is cornered, that is when her instincts become the most dangerous. And the moment Miura stepped onto the ice, those words instantly became reality. From her very first movement, her skating looked completely different from everyone else's. The speed of her rotations, the precision of every throw-jump landing, the perfect stability of her spin axis, everything about her performance existed on a level far beyond normal elite competition. But what truly shook the audience was not just the technical numbers. It was the overwhelming feeling that she and her partner were controlling time itself. Every movement synchronized perfectly with the music, as if the entire arena had fallen under their command. This was no longer simply about technique. This was about reaching a level that only a handful of athletes in Olympic history have ever touched. Just minutes into the performance, the entire crowd could already feel that something extraordinary was happening. Maybe not everyone realized they were witnessing one of the greatest comeback victories the sport had ever seen, but nobody could look away. Every eye inside the arena was locked onto the ice as history unfolded in real time. And as the free skate entered its second half, something became even clearer than the numbers appearing on the scoreboard. The entire building was being consumed by the presence of one athlete, Riku Miura herself. Her movements no longer felt like a performance. They felt like total control over the space around her. In pair figure skating, greatness is not measured by individual skill alone. True greatness is created when 2 athletes move with perfect synchronization, breathing as one, telling a story so powerful that it burns itself directly into the hearts of the audience. And on this night, Miura and her partner reached a level that felt almost supernatural. The deeper you look into the actual numbers, the more unbelievable their performance becomes. Their free skate score shattered the existing world record, while their technical score reached near-perfect marks across almost every single element, something the sport had never witnessed before. But the moment that truly froze the arena came during their brutal throw, triple axel. A move with a reported success rate in the low 20% range, even among elite skaters. Yet Miura landed it with such effortless precision that it looked as if a feather had gently floated onto the ice. For a split second, the entire building went silent, and then exploded into chaos. What happened next only pushed the performance further into legend. Their program component scores, including artistry, choreography, interpretation, and overall presentation were scored near the absolute maximum by the judges. This was no longer simply a great performance. This was a performance challenging the very ceiling of the scoring system itself. But the most important part of this story is not the numbers. The real question is this: how was she able to perform at this level under such overwhelming pressure? While most elite athletes collapse beneath Olympic expectations, Miura seemed to transform that pressure into fuel. And behind that mental strength stood the philosophy of coach Bruno Marcotte. His training methods went far beyond technical repetition. He intentionally recreated the chaos of competition, simulated failure scenarios, and pushed athletes into psychological extremes so they could train their minds as intensely as their bodies. His system was both scientific and philosophical. For Miura, Olympic pressure was not an unfamiliar fear. It was something she had faced so many times that it became almost like an old friend. But perhaps the most fascinating part of Miura's rise is the philosophy behind her skating itself. In a past interview, she once said, "I don't want to skate for perfection. I want to skate in a way people will remember forever." That single statement revealed everything about her mindset. In an era where modern figure skating often becomes obsessed with technical difficulty and statistics, Miura brought emotion and storytelling back to the center of the sport. She reminded the world that skating is not just about points. It is about making people feel something they will never forget. Then came the moment the world had been waiting for. When the final scores confirmed their impossible comeback from 5th place to Olympic gold, the arena erupted into absolute madness. Fans screamed, coaches cried, cameras flashed from every direction, and history was made in front of millions watching around the world. Yet Miura herself remained astonishingly calm. Her expression barely changed. It was almost as if she had known from the very beginning that this would be the outcome. Or perhaps it was the quiet satisfaction of a monster finally unleashing everything it had been holding inside. That is the true meaning behind the phrase silent monster. Not loud confidence, not dramatic emotion, just overwhelming power hidden beneath absolute silence. And this victory meant far more than simply winning a gold medal. It challenged the very philosophy of figure skating itself. For years, the sport believed stability and safety were the shortest path to victory. But with one performance, Miura completely destroyed that belief. Instead, she introduced a new image of what an athlete could become. Someone capable of reaching their absolute highest level only when pushed to the edge. Even from the perspective of sports science, her case is considered extraordinary. Normally, pressure causes muscles to tighten, breathing to become unstable, and performance to decline. But reports analyzing Miura's heart rate and muscle activity suggested something shocking. Under the most intense pressure imaginable, her body appeared almost relaxed. Researchers compared it to the zone, a rare mental state only a handful of elite athletes ever experience. But what makes Miura different is that she seems capable of entering that state intentionally, almost as if it were a skill she mastered through repetition. And even after all the analysis, all the statistics, and all the scientific explanations, something still remains impossible to describe: the control she displayed on the ice. The explosive force hidden beneath her silence. The feeling that the entire arena had fallen under her command. Those things cannot be measured with numbers. That is why people are captivated by her. That is why audiences cry watching her skate. Because sports, at its core, is about uncertainty, emotion, and moments that feel larger than life. And on that unforgettable night in Milan Cortina, Riku Miura embodied all of it. But the story does not end here. The gold medal at the 2026 Olympics was never the final destination for Riku Miura. It was only the beginning of something even greater. The silent monster is already looking toward the next stage, toward even higher ground. And now the world is left asking the same question. After rewriting history itself, what could she possibly do next? The responsibility of witnessing that answer now belongs to all of us. Because that legendary night in Milan Cortina was not simply the moment a champion was crowned. It was the sound of a new era being born. The atmosphere inside the arena that night in Milan Cortina felt tighter and heavier than anyone had ever experienced before. After the short program, Miura and her partner sat in 5th place. In the brutal history of Olympic pairs figure skating, the odds of winning gold from that position were essentially zero. Looking back across the last 30 years, no pair outside the top 3 had ever climbed all the way to Olympic victory. Most fans inside the arena, and millions watching from around the world, could not realistically imagine them standing on the highest step of the podium. But that impossible reality became the perfect stage for one of the greatest dramas the sport had ever seen. Right before the free skate began, there was no panic at rinkside. No visible fear. Instead, there was an eerie silence, the kind of silence that exists right before a violent storm arrives. In that chilling atmosphere, Coach Bruno Marcotte sent Miura onto the ice with complete confidence. Later, he reflected on that moment with words that would become unforgettable. "She never panics," he said. In fact, when the world corners her and there's nowhere left to run, that's when her deepest instincts finally awaken. And from the very first push across the ice, everyone understood exactly what he meant. Miura's skating felt different immediately. Even the sound of her blades cutting into the ice seemed perfectly synchronized with the music. Her movements began to control the rhythm of the entire arena itself. The speed of her jump rotations, the precision of her throw jump landings, the unbelievable stability of every spin, everything about her performance existed beyond the normal limits of elite competition. But what truly shook the audience was not the technical difficulty or the scores. It was the overwhelming sense of control. It felt as if Miura and her partner were breathing life into the music itself, bending the atmosphere of the arena to their will. This was no longer just athletic performance. This was artistry reaching a level only a handful of Olympic athletes in history have ever touched. As the program continued, every person inside the building could feel that something historic was unfolding in front of them. Maybe not everyone yet realized they were witnessing the greatest comeback in modern figure skating history, but nobody could look away. Those few minutes became more than a sporting performance. They transformed into pure drama, the kind only true art can create. And by the second half of the free skate, one fact had become impossible to ignore. The entire arena was being completely consumed by the presence of one athlete, Riku Miura. Her movements no longer looked like choreography. They looked like absolute domination over the ice itself. In pair skating, success is not measured only by jump consistency or lift difficulty. The true challenge lies in two skaters becoming one, moving with such perfect unity that they carve a story directly into the audience's heart. And on this night, Miura and her partner reached a level that felt almost inhuman. The deeper you examine the numbers, the more unbelievable the performance becomes. Their free skate shattered the world record by a massive margin. In technical elements, nearly every component received maximum grade evaluations from the judges. But the moment that pushed the arena into total chaos came during the throw triple axel, a terrifying element with a reported success rate barely above 20% even among elite athletes. Yet Miura landed it flawlessly. The instant her blade touched the ice cleanly, the crowd erupted as if the building itself were shaking apart. Then came the program component scores: artistry, interpretation, choreography, musical expression. Across every category, the judges awarded marks close to perfection. This was not simply a great skate. This was a performance challenging the upper limit of the entire scoring system itself. But even then, the numbers were not the most important part of the story. The real mystery was how Miura could deliver something this extraordinary under such crushing pressure. Most elite athletes are overwhelmed by Olympic expectations. Their breathing tightens, their movements become hesitant, their bodies betray them. But Miura seemed to transform pressure into energy itself. And behind that ability stood years of brutal training and psychological conditioning. Bruno Marcotte's coaching philosophy extended far beyond improving technique. He intentionally recreated high-pressure situations during practice, often making training sessions even more stressful than actual competition. His focus was not just physical preparation, but mental survival under extreme conditions. For Miura, the pressure of competing for Olympic gold was not unfamiliar. It was simply another version of the reality she had already lived through countless times in training. And perhaps the most fascinating part of her rise lies in her personal philosophy towards skating. In one interview, Miura once explained that she does not skate in pursuit of perfection. Instead, she wants to create performances that stay in people's memories forever. That mindset represents a major turning point in modern figure skating. In a sport increasingly dominated by technical difficulty and numbers, Miura brought emotion and storytelling back to the center of the ice. And on that unforgettable night in Milan Cortina, she achieved exactly that. And then came the moment that transformed the performance into pure legend. The instant the final results confirmed their impossible comeback victory, from 5th place to Olympic gold, the entire arena exploded with emotion. The crowd roared, cameras flashed everywhere, and history itself seemed to shake the building. Yet, in the middle of all that chaos, Riku Miura remained unbelievably calm. Her expression barely changed. It was almost as if she had known from the beginning exactly how this story would end. Or perhaps she was already looking far beyond this victory, toward limits no one else could even imagine reaching. And that is where the true nature of the silent monster reveals itself. Because this victory meant far more than simply winning a gold medal. It shook the very foundation of figure skating itself. For decades, the accepted formula for success had always been the same. Stay consistent in the short program, protect your position in the free skate, and avoid mistakes at all costs. But Miura completely destroyed that philosophy. She proved that when human beings are pushed into the most desperate situations imaginable, they can sometimes unlock performances beyond anything thought possible. In doing so, she introduced an entirely new model of what an athlete could become. Even from the perspective of sports science, her case is considered extraordinary. Under intense pressure, most athletes experience muscle stiffness, rising heart rates, and a sharp decline in performance. But analysis of Miura's physiological data reportedly showed something almost unbelievable. During the performance itself, her body appeared close to a relaxed state. Experts compare this to the zone, the rare mental condition only a handful of elite athletes ever achieve. But what makes Miura different is that she appears capable of entering that state intentionally, almost at will. That ability alone separates her from nearly everyone else in modern sports. At the same time, her success exposed a new reality for the world of Japanese figure skating. Talent alone is no longer enough to reach the top of the sport. Strategy, advanced science, psychological conditioning, and philosophy must now exist together as one complete system to reach the sacred level Miura displayed that night. Bruno Marcotte's coaching methods will almost certainly become a subject of study for coaches around the world in the years ahead. And still, even after all the analysis, something remains impossible to explain. The overwhelming control she displayed on the ice, the explosive force hidden beneath her silence. Those things cannot be measured through numbers or data. That is why people are drawn to her. That is why audiences feel emotionally shaken watching her skate. Because the true drama of sports has always lived inside uncertainty, and this historic comeback became the ultimate expression of that truth. But the story is far from over. The 2026 Olympic gold medal may have been a massive achievement, yet for Miura, it may only be a checkpoint along a much larger journey. The silent monster is already staring toward the next stage, toward heights no athlete has ever reached before. And now, everyone who witnessed her performance carries the responsibility of seeing what comes next. To dismiss this story as simply a miraculous comeback would be a shallow misunderstanding of what really happened. Because this victory was not built on luck. It was the inevitable result of a deeply structured process years in the making. Miura and her partner did not travel an easy road to this moment. Injuries repeatedly interrupted their progress. Technical stagnation tested their confidence. International competitions often brought harsh criticism and disappointment. And in pair skating, where a single mistake can instantly destroy an entire program, they constantly found themselves standing on the edge of collapse. But every time they faced failure, they did not merely survive it. They used it to become stronger. That is the true core of their story. Marcotte's philosophy never focused on recreating perfect performances. Instead, he taught them how to control failure itself. His goal was not perfection, but resilience. How to maximize scores, maintain emotional control, and continue telling the story even when circumstances begin falling apart. For years, this approach was considered unconventional in figure skating. But after Milan Cortina, nobody can question its effectiveness anymore. And Miura's physical evolution cannot be ignored either. Recent analysis revealed that the rotational speed of her jumps has, at times, reached levels comparable to top male skaters. But this is not simply the result of strength training. It comes from an extraordinary combination of aerial efficiency, precise neurological control, minimized rotational instability, and a body capable of absorbing impact with incredible fluidity. That complete integration of skill is what has turned her into an athlete others simply cannot imitate. Many fans watching that night probably felt they were witnessing perfection, but in reality, what they saw was something even more powerful. The accumulation of countless imperfections, failures, injuries, and struggles transformed into strength. That is why the performance felt so unbreakable. Those 4 minutes on the ice became proof that true greatness is not born from flawlessness, but from surviving everything that should have destroyed you. Now the skating world is asking a massive question. Was this simply a once-in-a-generation miracle? Or was it the sign that figure skating itself has entered a completely new era? No one knows the answer yet, but one thing is absolutely certain. Riku Miura has fundamentally changed the way figure skating is judged and understood. Traditional scoring systems were designed around balancing technical precision with artistic beauty. But Miura elevated both to such an extreme level that judges no longer felt like evaluators. They felt like witnesses to something larger than the system itself. In fact, discussions have reportedly begun inside the International Skating Union about whether the current judging structure can even properly evaluate performances of this level. Some experts believe her skating already exceeds the assumptions built into the modern rules and may eventually force changes to the scoring system itself. That impact goes beyond the success of one athlete. It has the potential to reshape the history of the sport. Meanwhile, rival nations are already reacting. Russia, Canada, China, and other pair skating powers have begun developing new strategies specifically aimed at catching Miura's level. Harder jumps, stronger synchronization, more innovative choreography. But no matter how much the competition evolves, there is still no guarantee anyone can truly reach what Miura achieved, because her strength is not built only on technical elements. It comes from her life experiences, her philosophy, and the sincerity with which she approaches the ice itself. And perhaps the most important thing to remember is this: the story is only beginning. The 2026 Olympic gold medal was not the conclusion. It was the birth of a new standard. The next time Riku Miura steps onto the ice and takes that first glide forward, the world will once again witness that terrifying combination of silence and explosion. Whether it is sports, art, or something beyond both, may no longer be for audiences to decide. Because when she skates, it feels as though the ice itself belongs entirely to her. What she carved into the lights of Milan Cortina was never simply a medal or a world record score. It was the destruction of the boundary between athletic technique and artistic expression. Coach Bruno Marcotte once called her a monster, and on that night, trapped in what should have been a hopeless situation after the short program, the true meaning of those words finally became clear. Ignoring statistics, rewriting world records, and capturing Olympic gold, Miura evolved into something far beyond the simple label of genius. This legendary comeback was not a miracle. It was the inevitable result of a mind capable of transforming unbearable pressure into pure energy. What Miura revealed to the world was the true power hidden beyond perfect technique, the ability to completely command the emotions of everyone watching. And that is why skaters around the world may spend years trying to reach the level she created. Yet, technique alone will never be enough. Because her strength comes from something deeper, a philosophy rooted in total devotion to the ice, and an unshakable belief in giving every part of herself to the performance. The silent monster awakened in 2026 has now become more than an Olympic champion. She has become the symbol of a new era in figure skating. And this story is not ending here. It is only the opening chapter of how her new standard may transform the future of sports itself. We will not be able to look away from her journey as she continues to silently, yet powerfully, dominate the world on the ice. Thank you so much for watching until the very end. What did you think about Riku Miura's shocking comeback victory and the true nature of the monster hidden within her? Be sure to share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Hi Malik for more incredible stories just like this.